We are live from home plate of the Naimoli Family Baseball Complex. I'm with Gary Puccio, the head FDU baseball coach, for another edition of the Knights Baseball Roundup. Thank you for watching. And Gary, how you doing this week?
Doing good there, Ryan. This is Knights Baseball Roundup. It's to not be confused with the Coach G show, which I think appears during basketball season, even though I was the original Coach G. But
right, could be easily confused, yeah. Knights fans.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, a good weekend. A lot to talk about this week. Let's start though with our new segment that we've been trying to introduce, is the Alumni Question of the Week. This one comes from Red McGarry.
Yeah, it's a great question, Red, that we need to know. Alumni events coming up this spring. On May 10th, which is a Saturday, we will be having an Alumni Day here before our doubleheader with Bryant University. That is also the day before our last home game of the season. So we want the alumni to come on out. There'll be sandwiches for the alumni and a chance to watch the team play here at home at the Naimoli Family Complex. And once again, that's May 10th, Saturday, later on this season. And thank you for sending in the question, Red, one of our 1960 All-Decade members. Thank you.
Since we last saw you, the team is 3-1. Started off going to St. John's, formidable opponent, going on the road and falling 10-4. It was another 4-run early inning. This time it was the third inning. But the middle order, I mean, the offense started to get going. The weekend was a great weekend for the offense, and it got started with the St. John's game, 8-14, the 2-3-4 hitters. Just give us some thoughts about the St. John's game.
Yeah, I think we actually had 12 hits in the game, and St. John's had 14, but yet the score was 10-4. And as I tell the kids, it's not the hit column that counts; it's the run column that counts. But we definitely started hitting the ball better in that series. I thought we played well that day as far as our offense. Unfortunately, defensively, we weren't so hot, and our base running wasn't so hot, and that's what led to a 10-4 loss. But there were definitely some signs coming out of that game that led into a pretty solid weekend for us.
Definitely a very solid weekend, despite the weather and the cold. Came away smiling, 3-0. Hosted a round-robin tournament against NJIT and Lehigh. The first game was Friday. It was an 11-8 victory, very eventful game. But the offense did shine. Pat McClure really came out of his very early season slump, getting started after being injured last season. Had a 3-run bomb. Joel Roman had a bases-clearing double. That was the insurance runs needed at the end of the game. And talk about those guys, the offense, and also Nick Cuono having to shift from, long relief to starting pitching now, and doing a pretty good job early on, but obviously struggling, now having to be stretched out a little bit.
Well, Nick actually was a starter for us last year. He hadn't had that many innings yet this year, so he definitely struggled. He had a big lead, and he had trouble finding a play, walked a couple guys, and then gave up a home run that all of a sudden put them back in the game. Pat, I've been saying this, that Shane, Pat, and Ryan Brennan just need some at-bats, and the more at-bats they get, the more they're going to return to being the players they were for us. Pat and Shane back in 2012, and Ryan obviously was a main recruit of last year. So we're expecting big things out of those guys, and I think they're starting to show signs of that this past weekend as they're getting, 35, 40 at-bats now. They're starting to get back into a groove, and when you don't play for a whole year, it takes a while to get going again. And I just love writing their names in the lineup.
That is a good seg into Pat McClure got named the NEC Co-Player of the Week. Had a phenomenal weekend. Really, every time he stepped to the plate, he seemed absolutely locked in. What do you think changed over the first 2 weeks into this weekend, and how do you see him the rest of the season developing for him?
Well, Pat set out the entire season last year with a labrum tear, so he did not even one at-bat. I mean, he has spent a whole year on the DL, so it takes a while to get going. And I felt when we recruited him as a freshman that he was going to supply some pop and some power for us in the lineup, and I think that's starting to happen now. I think he's got 3 doubles and a home run in his last 4 games or something. So definitely driving in runs and hitting the ball when it counts. And, the shot he hit here on Friday, I guess it was, that's the longest home run I've seen hit here at Naimoli Complex. I mean, it was a rip. And it's just good to see. I mean, I'm a big – Pat McClure was my first signee at FDU. So He's kind of special to me, and he knows that, and it's pretty good to see him back on the field.
Oh, that's a very good story, and that was an absolute bomb. It was a no-doubter to left field. Um, the second game was a 12-4 victory over Lehigh. Mountain Hawks coming to visit. Riley Moonen, that was the Riley Moonen game. He had a 3-run bomb of his own. Matt McCann has had some early season struggles in his first year here at FDU, but had a very solid day at the plate. And Brandon Butler also improved in his start, got the victory. So give me some thoughts about that Saturday game.
Well, I think that's the most important part was Brendan Butler settling down and pitching the way we know he can pitch, and he showed great signs this weekend of starting to develop into the pitcher we know he's going to become. And one of the things about Brennan is the weather gets warmer. Brennan's always been a better pitcher in warm weather, and we had a nice day that day, and that definitely helped him with his outing. I was very impressed with him. I thought he did a really nice job for us, and at a time we needed a job like that, so it was big. And Riley, I've said this before, I think Riley's the best player on the team. He's a terrific outfielder. He's got all the tools, and he's just one of those kids that he brings the same disposition whether he's 0 for 5 or 5 for 5, and that's one of the things I like best about him, because I always talk about level of play, and Riley gives me the same level of play all the time. He's consistent, and like I said, by having McClure and Siebler and Brennan on the right side with Joel and Tondi and Riley on the left side, we now have a balanced lineup where, last year I felt we got beat up by so many left-handers. Now we got some balance back in the lineup, and I think it's definitely showing.
The Sunday game, we were out here absolutely freezing behind us at the scorer's table, but it was a very good, another great day at the plate for the Knights, and a great pitching performance, 9-1 victory over Lehigh. John Chalupa, the transfer, and a reliever converted into a starter, went his longest outing at FDU. Great, had a one-hitter, and he got pulled after 100 pitches, but tell me about his performance.
Yeah, John went 7 1/3 and gave up one single to center field. It was the only hit he'd given up. He was pitching a shutout when I yanked him, but he had just walked two guys, and you could tell, he was shot. He was at about 110 pitches, and as you said, he's a reliever turning into a starter, and he hadn't gone more than about 75 pitches, so we really stretched him out. And the fact that it was 8-0, we were able to do that, let him stay out there a little longer to get some endurance build up, and he was outstanding. I mean, he really had good stuff. He was on the plate all day and just did a solid job for us.
And, discounting the St. John's game, this was an outstanding offense, and we mentioned it a couple times already. 37 hits, 32 runs over 3 games this weekend. You can include St. John's, and that's 49 hits and 36 runs, and that's just outstanding. So, you talk about cold weather versus warm weather. How excited are you that the players are performing in this cold weather, and especially heading into such a daunting matchup as Seton Hall?
The things I liked was doing the things we've been trying to teach them, of taking the ball the other way, not trying to do too much with it, not trying to hit home run. It's funny. You tell them to stop trying to hit home runs, and everybody relaxes, and we're telling them to send the ball the other way and just think base hit, and all of a sudden we hit 2-3 run homers over the weekend. So that's kind of how it works. You got to be relaxed to the play. You got to have an approach. You got to have an idea of what you're doing, and I think we're starting to do a lot of good things that way, and I think both Coach Skold and Coach Kresge deserve all the credit for that, because what I do about hitters is I stay away from them.
Okay, so the upcoming series this weekend at Seton Hall, 3-game series, and with college baseball, there's a lot of publications, a lot of rankings, but the highest they're ranked is, I believe, 22nd now after this week's publication, 22nd, and then getting coaches' votes and other rankings, but nonetheless, one of the best teams in the country. So give us a little sky report of what you expect from Seton Hall and whether these performances can carry into this weekend.
Well, every year I try to play one up, what I call an up series. It was Radford a couple of years ago, it was Campbell last year, and this year it's Seton Hall. And as much as I kid about the snow and everything else, this is a great series for us to play, because you're going in there without any high expectations. They're obviously the better team when you're ranked 22nd in the country. They're going to have strong pitching, they play solid defense, and they hit the ball. You don't become 22nd in the country if you can't do those things. So it's a great test for us, and I just feel it's the right kind of games we want to play now, early in the season, so you kids see better pitching, see top-of-the-line play, and it also gives you something to aspire to that you want to become, that this is where you hope your program could be sometime down the road, and it makes your kids realize how much more work they got to do to get there.
Very well said. That is all the questions I thought it was. That's all the questions I have for you this week. A lot to talk about, a lot of good, a lot of positives to take from it. This Saturday, we should have a broadcast, hopefully, for the Seton Hall game. Yeah, we should. We're trying. It will be on FDUnites.com, and keep up to date at FDUnites for all up-to-date information, obviously stats, but also to see if we're doing that broadcast. And without a doubt, the following weekend, we'll get our broadcasts set away, and those will be on NEC Front Row. And Gary, thank you for taking the time to talk this week, and good luck this weekend against Seton Hall.
Okay, sounds good to me, Ryan. Good to be with you.
All right, and next week, obviously, another Knights baseball roundup to hopefully talk about some more positives after the Seton Hall series. Thanks for watching again this week, Knights fans.